a little disjointed. It's bold in terms of jerking people around, but I may have gone too far in a few places.
Hey guys, welcome back to Greenlight Cinema. Oh, jeez. Turn off, you. Hey guys, welcome back to Greenlight Cinema. I'm your host, Brandon Pacheco, and today I'm gonna talk about a real exciting episode of Star Wars The Acolyte I watched. Oh my gosh! So much excitement. Happy 4th of July, Nation.
Wings report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
May the Force be with us.
Let's talk about Star Wars The Acolyte, Episode 4. No lesbian witches! Well guys, here we are. We're at our 4th episode of Star Wars The Acolyte. You know, this is the episode, I think, you know, in any show where you start to finally ask yourself, is this paying off? Is this getting any better as it's going? And the answer is absolutely. I loved this episode. Didn't like this episode, loved this episode. Oh my gosh, let's talk about it, guys. Whoa. Okay, so I guess we should start where every story starts, at the beginning. This episode starts out as a recap, kind of, because, you know, we did have a backstory for the two twins in the last episode. I guess they just want to make sure the audience is, like, well up to date on what was going on, and you betcha Disney, I am. I'm going to do us a little small recap as well, just in case anybody has a hard time. We have two twins, Osha and Mae. Mae has something against 4 Jedi. We kind of don't know the reason, but we kind of do know the reason. It goes back to the last episode, where Mae believes, I think, that the Jedi... I'm just going out of my own thoughts here, that the Jedi killed her own family, so she's, like, going after these 4. You know, in the recap, we see that, I believe, Mae thinks that Osha's dead. Mae is our bad character, but she's only bad, though, because that Mae thinks that her family was murdered by the Jedi, so she's kind of on her own little warpath, but she's also being possibly misguided. Mae kills a Jedi. The first Jedi Mae kills, though, it causes attention, as the bartender described someone of Mae's description, so it goes to Osha. The Jedi find Osha, but they find out while Osha's in their possession that Mae has killed another Jedi, so Osha's off the hook. Osha and Mae are reunited, and Osha lets Mae go. Now, here we are. So we finally get an episode about the Wookiee Jedi, but one small problem with this episode, I didn't have enough Wookiee Jedi. I wanted more Klanaka. I think that's his name. So it opens and starts out on his planet, not Kashyyyk, for any other Star Wars nerds out there. I don't want to confuse anybody. You know, I say Wookiee planet, you're probably like Kashyyyk. No, this is, in a way, this is, I guess you'd say, Klanaka's Dagobah. We see him, like, gathering, like, food and foraging for all the things he needs for his place. He's got, you know, his little hut that he lives out of, his domicile that he lives out of, and we see that there's markings all over his wall of, like, little, like what Mae has on her head during the Ascension ceremony, like he's been studying it, you know. And then it cuts to Coruscant. Next scene, we get to see Osha. She's trying to say bye to Jackie, and so we could see, like, a little class, and they have, like, little wooden sticks to practice with for, like, the lightsaber swords. It's almost like a fencing. It almost looks like a fancy fencing class, you know. So Osha wants to tell Jackie bye, but also she's like, thanks for clearing my name. You know, Jackie's like, oh, you're leaving? She's like, I thought you would have stayed until your sister got apprehended and the like. And she's like, well, Dad, she's your problem now. And more or less Jackie, I think, is sussing out, like, you didn't say, bye to Master Soul. And she's like, well, I'm kind of in a hurry. I gotta go. She's your problem now. Thanks for clearing my name. And next time I'm in town, we'll go get a drink at a local canteen and we'll swap stories about Soul. I was like, oh, these two kind of have a little bit of a connection or something. I don't know. So next, we see Mae and her dude friends, Quirm, I don't know. They're at the Wookiee planet, but for entirely different reasons. They're hunting down Klanaka to kill Klanaka. And dude friend Quirm is starting to already show kind of his colors in a way. Like, he kind of feels like I wrote down in my notes that he reminds me of Clark Kent. Like, he's bubbling and tripping over his suitcase, and she's like, you really got through these woods by yourself? And he's like, oh yeah, I can do things, but I'm helpless. And I'm like, hey, that's an act. I mean, Clark don't act like that, but he's got the two personalities going on, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the like. Dude's warning her, Quirm, not to go into the forest by herself. It's real important that they go together, and but it's like at the same time he's saying things that are like kind of almost confusing. Like, he's like, what did your master say? And like, he seems real invested in her completing her mission for her master. It's like, who is this guy? No, I want to pause and take a break for a minute and say, what a lovely planet this is. It's so pretty. I have no idea where in the world they filmed it, but it's like grassy island looking planet with skinny CG trees that look matte painted. That part's all fake, but the landscape they're on, it's real Star Warsy. Like, this is a Star Warsy planet. I went dollar to donuts. I didn't think I would actually like love this planet. Like, I was like, hey, yeah, like this is kind of a cool woodsy looking planet, and it gets better as this episode goes. It's like Star Warsy, but it's like a planet we've seen. It feels like this planet has that Star Wars atmosphere to it, but it's not a planet we've ever seen in Star Wars. So I'm down with that. I'm like, I'm up for the adventure all the more, And Quirm mentions before the scene ends with these two going into the woods, he's like, and by the way, things don't change since you've seen your sister, and she's alive. And I think he knows, because he's probably forced sense of character. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Spoilers, he's the bad guy. Yep, he's training her. I know this because I'm on Facebook and I see like memes, and it's like, oh, and they're kind of making it obvious of his character here. It's kind of just like on the nose. We know that this guy is. So their mission is to go into the woods, kill Klanaka, and they have 3 hours of sunlight left. And dude's like, you better not back out either, because he'll kill, he'll get you. It's like there's a threat if she don't finish her mission. We really don't know all the motivation here yet, Next, we see the Jedi all around this table watching a hologram of Soul and Mae in their battle. And the Jedi, we have our very first Ki-Adi-Mundi appearance since the prequels. Yeah, and I actually didn't think he was too bad in this. I was like, well, we could have more. I don't know if that's the same actor though, but he's like amazed. He's like, wow, this raw power, like who taught her this? And they're like, this needs to be trained, and they're like, we need to apprehend her. And Jedi Vendara, she's like, Soul, you had her in your custody, and then she fled and escaped, so I'm going to give this to another Jedi. And he don't like that too much, because he thinks Soul's so charismatic. He's like, there's still good in her, let me talk to her, without making a mess. And the Jedi Vendara, she kind of feels like she may be like, what, like, is she playing both sides, or like what's her deal, because she's using Osha, she's kind of manipulating her situation here. Jedi Vendara, she's like, maybe we'll use Osha as a bargaining chip to get Mae you know, so it's like, oh, that's kind of divisive in a way. Jedi Vendara, though, she claims she's like, she's killed 2 Jedi already. She's trying to kill you, Sol, and she's, after Klanaka. So we gotta act on this fast. And so Sol's like, just let me get Osha, get a team going. Back to Mae and her dude friend Quirm. He's being like real weird in this next scene because he starts like asking her like weird, like, I'm like, what's their relationship, you know? He's like, how do you plan on killing this Wookiee when you failed so many times? I'm like, whoa, I'm like, she hasn't failed. She's like, she both kicked Sol's ass, you know, and she's killed 2 Jedi. But he's like, your master wants you to, kill without a weapon. The Jedi don't really use weapons unless, they have to or absolutely their life depends on it. And she's like, well, that's impossible. You can't kill a Jedi without a weapon. And he's like, well, it's not impossible. Like, he knows. And she's like, well, have you ever seen this guy? Have you ever seen his face? And he's like, he like changes the subject. But she's like, so what's your deal with him, And he's like, oh, I just owe him a debt. And it's so vague, like we really don't know much about Quirm, his motivations, who this guy even really is, and how did Mae even get involved with him, And Mae, she starts to ask Quirm, she's like, so how was my sister Osha when you met her? And he's like, this don't change anything about your sister, you know when she's alive, right? You still gotta kill these 4 Jedi. Or he's like, he brings her focus back to the Jedi, and it's like, there's something off about this guy. He's weird, I think the Jedi Veranda mentions that, like, she's like, this may just be even half her master's plan, getting these 4 Jedi out of the way, then what's next, So it's like, this guy, his motivations, it's kind of very elusive, yeah. Well, one other thing before I get going, it was kind of distracting. I watched this episode twice. I want to make sure I got everything, So the first time I watched it, I had like the Disney logo in the corner of my screen, and it was the most distracting thing I've ever. Sometimes I wouldn't even hear the characters talking. I would just focus in on the Disney thing. It was like nostalgic. I'm like, geez, what is this, 1994? Am I watching the Disney Channel back home? I thought it was 2024. Jeez. Back to Coruscant. Sol finds like Osha, and she's like talking to her little droid Pim or something, and he's like, hey, I kind of need your help. Glad you hadn't left yet. And she's kind of like, Osha's smart. She's like, you guys are just wanting me because of my sister. And he's like, well, yes and no. But, I think Sol feels like that he has more control, if it's him going. Because he's like, there's something when I seen your sister, Mae, don't be so quick to give up on her. He's like, there's still good in her. I love that he repeats the, little thing that we heard from Luke in Return of the Jedi. He'd say that of Anakin. He's like, there's still good in him. And then we heard that repeated in, in Revenge of the Sith by Padme. So I love seeing repeated little themes of Star Wars. It's like poetry, guys. It rhymes.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Mm-hmm. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Sol talks Mae into going. She's like, but just don't get me in a Jedi civilian outfit or something. And it's like cut to, they show like a close-up of her, and she's wearing some type of garb that's Jedi civilian related, that's supposed to be Jedi civilian something, I can't remember. And I'm like, I guess the diehard fans of the EU would have probably, or like in the books would be like, oh, she's wearing it. But I haven't seen this in a movie or a show, so the close-up is the only clue I had to being like, oh, that's the joke. She has to wear it, even though she said, but I'm not wearing it. And a close-up of her, and she's like on a ship looking bored, what Yoren's speech. And he's like, we gotta land on there. And he's like, is something going on? Are you guys bored or almost? And they're just like, nope, let's just go grab Klanaka, this Wookiee, and go. But it's kind of funny though. They have a tracker on the ship, and it freaks Osha out. She's like, is he with us? Basil. I love that little thing. He's like, Basil, I've never seen anything like this. I think that's kind of a cute, neat little element. You know, it's not Baby Yoda, thank God, but it's like, oh, yeah, Jedis needed some type of tracker, I guess, you know, and if it's some little cute little weasel dog thing, I'm happy about it. So the Jedi make it to Climax planet, the Wookiee Jedi planet, not Kashyyyk. Just want to remind everybody. Hope you guys like my little lightsaber diorama. I hope it won't be too distracting. They make noise. I can't turn them off, but they look cool. So going back to my review, see Jackie as they land. We see Jackie trying to talk to the locals, and they tell her that Klanaka came to their planet, headed to the woods, and never returned again. Lightsabers fall. Yeah, that's what I get for using props. Anyway, I'd also like to point out, I'm not sure if anyone else caught this or not, but all our characters, Sol, Jackie, Osha, Yorn, and you know, the other Jedi, most of our main characters are all on this same planet looking for the same character, Klanaka. We have a real interesting scene with Osha and Yorn. She tells him, she's like, look, if it comes down to it, and my sister just don't want to change, you know, and she's too powerful, you have to kill her because I can't. And he's like, what? Like, no, you know, that's your sister, that's family, you gotta, he's like, he says like real wise things to her, and like, he's like, no, let's pick up the pace. And it blows my mind, like how well that they've got the prequels down. Like, it almost feels like George Lucas himself wrote this episode. I was real impressed with it, guys, I'm not gonna lie. And in their little tracker, Basil, Yorn gives him like a little cloth of something that Mae wore, and he's like, I love this little character. I don't know where he was at in the prequels, but I'm glad he's here now. Yorn makes a little comment. He's like, I think our tracker needs a tracker because we keep losing him. Like, I guess that's why the Jedi don't continue with these little things, or I don't know, maybe we just didn't see enough Jedi excursions, but I love this little guy. He's awesome. Basil's my new favorite character. Basil Oregano. That's already taken. Next, we have one of my favorite scenes out of the whole episode, or one of them, I'd say. The last part of this episode goes, I'm telling you, it's like, whoa, I felt so much. So they're walking around this forest, the Jedi and Osha, and she starts like feeling, you can tell she's got a vibe going on with her, you know. So she like touches like these weird looking trees with like it's gross looking to me. I don't like bugs. So there's this giant huge looking bug thing, and she touches it. And it's so fast paced, but this thing is like it looks like a caterpillar / pissed off looking eagle, like flying to come grab him up. And Sol don't even hesitate. Like, weirdly, he just pulls out his lightsaber and like he hacks this thing in half. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, all right, now let's get going. I was like, that's kind of out of character. Like, Sol's like, now pick up the pace. I don't have to keep killing these things and waiting on you guys. Jeez. But I felt like that was out of character in some way. He makes, you know, Sol gets kind of more complex and says interesting things as that seems a little out of character for his character in this episode. Guys, I don't mean to keep talking about these woods, but they look so cool and Star Warsy. Like, I was just like, oh, like, where did they lift this from, you know? Like, these woods look so dark and spooky. I could just picture, like, Vader, like, walking around with, like, a lightsaber. I read, like, in a weird thing once that Grand Moff Tarkin hunted Darth Vader as a sport. It was, like, some woodsy looking area. And I pictured, I was like, if you're gonna do that scene, you would use these woods, you know. I don't know. Going back to this review, Jackie and Osha catch up. She's like, yo, what's up? You know, you seem disturbed. Osha's like, you know, I was actually feeling that character, and I was feeling that weird creature, and we disturbed it. And she's like, you know, I feel awful about it. You know, like the creature was bothering nobody, and you know, and so even I think it's kind of interesting, like some things are coming to Osha, like feelings, like she feels like a Jedi, you know, she's feeling like Jedis feel, you know, like connections to creatures and things. We have a great exchange between these two characters, Osha and Jackie. Osha tells Jackie, she's like, there's no way I could ever accept death like a true Jedi. And Jackie seems flattered. She's like, a true Jedi? She's like, wow. You know, she's like, but you know, Jackie tells Osha, she's so good and wise, this little girl. She's like, Jackie says, we're not defined by what we lose or what we lost, but we're defined by what we survive. I'm like, wow, this girl's so wise and smart. This little Jedi Padawan. Vicky even makes like a little comment saying, oh, it's just, you know, an honor to be in the presence of anything that transforms into the Force. And I'm like, boy, that feels so like prequels. Like, I love how optimistic and positive the Jedi are. Next, we see Mae and Qimir. And he's, you know, still like, it's impossible, you know, to kill a Jedi without a weapon. So you gotta be thinking, come on, let's go. And she's like, you know, I think I kind of want to rest here. And he's like, well, I'm not okay with this. Well, let me go, you know, hunt for water. And she's like, you know, yeah, go do your thing. While Quirm's walking, he gets like trapped or whatever. Like he's like, and he's like, help. Mae, she traps him. And she's like, you know, I don't think I need to like prove anything to this Jedi, or she's like, I don't need to prove anything to this master. Like, who even is he? Like, my sister's out here. Let me just turn myself in. And he's like, oh, the Jedi will kill you or imprison you. He's like trying to distract her, and she's like trying to do the right thing. I'm like, whoa, I didn't like this episode subverted my expectations a lot, guys. So next, Mae, she goes on her journey away from Dude, and while she's walking, she like trips and finds that little Basil, the tracker guy, and he's like letting out a signal, and they're like, whoa, where is he? So she takes off. It's almost like a Fargo scene in a way, like you know, it's like that Murphy's Law or something, you know, it's like Fargo's, like anything that could go wrong is going wrong in this one moment. So Mae's like, oh, she's scared. It's funny, Osha and Mae both got like a little tripped out by Basil. I guess just his little weird weasel thing. I don't know, his quirks and noises. I don't know. He was cute. But anyway, so Mae takes off inside the domicile, notices Climax has already been murdered. Yeah, we hear like a yell earlier. It's got like a lightsaber slash right through the chest, you know, real fresh and the like. So, you know, everybody is at the same scene. The Jedi have tracked down their tracker and Mae, and they know that someone's in the domicile. So they roll. So the Jedi roll up and they say, in the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, come out with your hands up. And I'm already like I'm on the edge of my seat, guys. I love crap like this. I really do. For all this, Soul gets a weird feeling. And Osha picks up on it. She's like, are you okay? She's like, I'm starting to feel things like a Jedi again. And he's like, Mae, you and I will have to face. He says, Osha, you and I will have to face things of our past tonight. And I'm like, whoa, what does he mean by that? So does he know this guy? Because it feels like he feels this guy. And Qimir, it feels like he knows Qimir. And Qimir mentions to Mae when she's like, how was it meet my sister? And he's like, she seems real close to a guy named Soul. So I was like, why does he have an issue with that? Does he have an issue with Soul? Do these two know each other? It's about to get good, because the Jedi, going back to this scene where they're at Climax's house, the Jedi, they get this weird vibe, and they turn around and they draw their lightsabers on this black-looking ghost-like figure that comes out of nowhere. The last time we seen dude, he was up in a tree. This guy slinks down like he came from up above. Like dude was up above, you know. I don't know, I'm just saying. Don't know if anyone else caught that. And the Jedi are like, run to this thing, and this dark entity that we don't know its name just like pushes Osha to the side and moves to Jedi, and it fades to black, and I'm like, whoa, guys, wow, that was a great Star Wars Acolyte episode. I don't know if you guys feel everything that I'm feeling. I don't know if you guys are feeling everything I'm feeling off this, but boy, oh boy, I cannot wait to get into the episode 5. Oh, you betcha. So this has been my favorite episodes thus far of the Acolyte. I'm interested in seeing where this is going. I'm so glad that this has finally took off somewhere, you know. I got a little worried about last episode, you know. But that's my episode, guys. I hope that you will please like this episode if you hadn't already. Subscribe to us, Greenlight Cinema, if you hadn't already. Guys, don't forget to keep watching the Star Wars Acolyte with me so we can keep up with all this together. And give me comments. Tell me what you're thinking about this show. Oh, what you think about this episode. All right, guys. Brando out.